Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Hi, Jeff.
How's it going?
Good. Jeff is joining us from Massachusetts, Lorena and Jen.
Excellent. Welcome.
Thank you.
Week, part of our core team.
Mhm.
And we have Jip. Hi, Jip. He's joining us from Kansas.
Hi, Jeb.
Got people from all over. So,
Cool.
well, I'll go ahead and do a quick intro to everybody. Thanks for joining our Lunch and Learn, and I'll add people as they come in. A few Zoom rules before we get started. One sec. Here we go. Does everybody see my screen? Yes? Okay, perfect. Okay, please mute yourself when you're not speaking. For all of our attendees today. We recommend speaker view for presentation. Video sharing is optional, though we love to see all your smiling faces. And please type all questions and comments into the chat. If you have any questions during the presentation, I'll keep an eye out on the chat so I can ask those questions to our guest speakers. We will also have a Q&A at the end, so feel free to unmute yourself then, or raise your virtual hand, or raise your physical hand, or you can type them into the chat and I'll read out the question for you. But this is our moment to connect. This is our moment to really get to know our guest speakers today. We're so grateful that they're here. And so a quick update from Autism Tree. We have now had 400, we've reached 416 brand new families who have filled out our intake form since January 1st, 2023. That is a record for us. It's only halfway throughout the year, and we are already we're at like 70% of what we did of all of last year. So we offer, welcome to our new families. We offer 19 programs that are family programs. We do over 200 events a year. 13 are in person, 3 are hybrid, 3 are virtual. So families from all over the country can join, people outside of San Diego County. We have 20 upcoming events on our calendars already for the month of July. We constantly add new events as well, so check back on our social media for new event announcements. These are all just aimed to get our families out into the community, connecting with each other, other parents, kids like them, doing fun family events like going to a Padres game or going to going to a Padres game or going to a baseball game, or going out. Right now I'm thinking of baseball only, but going to the beach, lots of different fun stuff. Events this week, we have our Lego play group, which we do once a month. That will be at the North Community Library, which is based in La Jolla. It's so much fun. We're still taking registrants for that, so you can sign up to join us this Saturday, July 1st. Also, our adaptive dance class happens every single week. We do ages 5 through 10 every other week, and as well as ages 11 through 18. So this week is 5 through 10. That's at Tap Fever Studios in Pacific Beach. We also do that virtually. That's one of our hybrid programs. So you're welcome to dance at home as well. And we have 528 impact videos on our YouTube channel as of today. We started posting during the pandemic, and we have grown this amazing library of resources, of videos of our parents, of our community, giving resources for our families online. So we'd recommend subscribing if you haven't already. We have 122 of those videos are on our Lunch and Learns, and we've uploaded them to our YouTube channel. We have a whole playlist for that, so we love every single guest speaker that we've ever had on, and highly recommend you check them out. And so without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Lorena Slomanson and Jen Winberry. Thank you so much, Lorena, for facilitating this connection. And I just feel like there's so many, we're so grateful for your big heart for our families and our autism community. And we're so excited to hear more about what Legal Aid Society of San Diego can do for our families. So I'm going to pass it to you, and feel free to share your screen at any point. I know you guys both have presentations, so go ahead.
Thank you, Rebecca. And thank you, Autism Tree community, for having Legal Aid Society of San Diego as your guest today for Lunch and Learn. My colleague Jen and I are very excited to be here. And we are the types of lawyers, I think I can speak for you, Jen, who really became lawyers to do the kind of social justice work that we do at Legal Aid Society every day. Why do we do this work? Well, did you know that about a third of San Diego County is on Medi-Cal? What does that really mean? What that means is that if I am a single person, then I must make less than $20,121 per year in order to qualify for Medi-Cal, which is free health insurance through the state. If I am part of a family of four or a household of four, then we must collectively make less than $41,400 a year in order to qualify for health care. I mentioned this to the audience because we all know that in San Diego, and we have people from all over the country here, welcome. In San Diego, it's very expensive to live, right? And so our families in San Diego are struggling. So what does Legal Aid do and how can we help folks who are living in poverty? We provide free legal services to folks. Many of the individuals and families that we help, they are all residents of San Diego County and low income. We help with many different types of law, which I will share with you in a moment. But I really just wanted to set the stage by honoring the work that Autism Tree does to connect families to really wonderful resources. And Jen and I were recently at the anniversary party, and we're very impressed by the community of supporters and family that has made up the Autism Tree community for decades. So I just want to honor that and all you guys do every day. And I really am excited to share with you how our worlds connect. And thank you, Jen, for putting your information in the chat. And I believe that was your name and contact info. So without further ado, I'm going to, as lawyers, we love to talk. So I'm going to stop talking and then start again. This is Medi-Cal eligibility that I was talking about. And this is my presentation. I plan to spend about 10 minutes talking about legal aid and what we do. I want everyone to kind of know what we do, general big picture. And then I'm going to hand it over to my dear colleague, Jen, who will talk about our SSI program and what we do for children and for adults on SSI. Our tagline is justice begins here. A lot of times when people find their way to us, they have done a runaround, they have had a runaround of sorts. And perhaps they're looking for help that they don't know where to find. And maybe they don't even know the questions. And maybe when they call us, we had about almost 120,000 San Diegans call us last year to our intake line. That's a lot of folks. That's a lot of people who need help. A lot of folks don't have legal representation. And we all know that when somebody has a legal advocate in the form of a lawyer, that their chances of reaching a success in their legal cases or with their legal matters exponentially skyrocket. So we are here to level the playing field and to offer equity. Our mission is to improve lives by advancing justice through effective, efficient, and vigorous legal advocacy, outreach, and education. So what we're doing today is a form of outreach to your community and also educating you about what we do, but we also provide education to San Diegans about their rights. It's very important that people know their rights. It's also important that the laws get followed, because what good are laws if they're not enforced? And Legal Aid is a proud enforcer of laws. So here's our staff with the governor at an event where he came to do a press conference and sign a housing bill. It was a very exciting day for us. I'm going to leave this up for a moment and just let y'all review the different areas of law within which we work and how we help folks. And if anybody has any questions about this, I will just honor Rebecca's comments at the beginning. And if you want to put questions in the chat box or save them for later, we will take them. But as you can see, we do a lot. We are almost fully funded by the government. I am our development director. That means that my goal is to do fundraising in the philanthropic space, but we do have a budget of about $25 million, and most of that is from the government at all levels. Congress, federal, state, county, and local cities fund us to help people. We do not charge for any of our services. All of our services are free. We have a case management practice, which means we have case managers that help us provide a holistic approach by connecting folks to all these different services that they need. Mostly when someone calls us with one problem, they usually have more than one legal problem. They might only have the capacity to address that one problem that's in their face at the moment, whether it be eviction or being at the risk of cutoff from very important public benefits. But please know that we do a lot of stuff, and we have a staff of about 220 people, and we have about 90 full-time staff attorneys and about 200 volunteers per year that greatly help us expand our capacity to do our work, providing access to justice for folks. Moving along. We run free legal clinics. Rebecca will be getting this information out to you all after the presentation, but just to give you an idea, we have restraining order clinics, eviction, gender marker name change, special education webinars. We help people who are older with elder abuse restraining orders. We have an immigration team. We do a lot of housing work. Housing and healthcare are a big part of what we do. Bankruptcy, civil appeals, unemployment insurance. A lot of times folks reach out to us when they are at risk of losing something like their housing or public benefits. So we will do the legal work that might involve an appeal, or we might just be that bridge to justice for them. We might be the bridge that helps them understand what's going on in their case and to connect them in-house or with other community partners of ours. These are other legal service providers in town that are free. The law library is a great resource. We are also. There's another organization called San Diego Volunteer Lawyer Program, which is also a free legal service provider. The county bar has a lawyer referral and information number. So if somebody gets into a car accident or needs employment law help or real estate law help, or doing a will or something, this is a referral resource that the county bar runs. They are vetted and trusted lawyers throughout the community in San Diego, and it is essentially a connection to lawyers that may or may not take your case. And those lawyers do charge, but they are vetted by the county bar, which is nice. Elder law and advocacy, some immigration information or resources. 211 is a great resource. We are the largest legal referral of 211s. And Casa Cornelia helps with immigration cases for unaccompanied minors and victims and survivors of domestic violence. So we have the Family Law Facilitator, which is a county-run program that helps folks in the courthouses with their family law documents and such. Disability Rights California. So a lot of resources out there. These are not our organization, but these are organizations that we love and trust and work with. So I just kind of wanted to throw this out there to y'all. Some of the law schools have some clinics that are very helpful. And so again, Rebecca will be getting this information out to you. And these are our 3 offices throughout the county. The number for intake for legal aid. So we are in North County and San Marcos. We're also in Southeast San Diego, and we are also in Midtown, which is in between Old Town and downtown San Diego. The number that you would call to reach us is one that I'm going to put in the chat, which is 877 legal aid. And I will put that number also in number form, which is 877-534-2524 in the chat as well. And Rebecca will be sharing that with everyone. I want to thank you all for allowing me to present my super quick who we are and what we do. And we will be able to open it up for a conversation and questions. But at this point, I'd love to pass it over to Jen Winberry, who is our lead attorney for SSI for Kids. I think, Jen, did I get that right? If I didn't, she'll correct me. She's really good at doing that. And I will put myself on mute and hand it over to the great Jen Winberry.
Thanks, Lorena. I'm going to try to go through this pretty quickly, but that is not my forte. I tend to talk a lot. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or just jump in or add them to the chat. This does go a little bit smoother when we have questions coming in. It just lets me know what it is that everybody is interested in knowing. but it is a pretty comprehensive and dense presentation. So just, I don't know, let me know if something isn't making sense. So I'm here to talk about our SSI advocacy program. And as Lorena stated, you know, all of our services are free. We provide low-income SSI services, rather SSI services to low-income San Diegans. And I'm going to start off by giving an overview of our program and services, and then we'll get into the SSI eligibility requirements. So we offer free legal assistance with initial applications, as well as representation at all levels of the SSI appeals process, which includes a written appeal, an administrative law judge hearing any appeals beyond that with either the appeals council, which is through Social Security Administration, or a complaint in federal district court. The Social Security, or rather legal aid eligibility requirements for SSI to become a client of ours, you must either have a mental health or behavioral health condition that is currently being treated, or you must be receiving general relief benefits, and you must reside in San Diego County. Our funding through our specific program requires these things, unless you have a referral from a specific program where we have an agreement, and one of these, you know, that typically that first condition is not met. We do require that all three of these are met. It's the way that we're funded, and we can't really get around it. So SSI is a federal benefit that is based on need. It's a monthly cash benefit that persons with disabilities, either adults or children, can receive if they meet Social Security Administration's disability requirements. Along with the monthly cash benefit, being eligible for SSI also makes you eligible for Medi-Cal. So that's another non-financial benefit. So basic SSI eligibility requirements, and these are Social Security Administration's requirements. The person must be either disabled, aged beyond age 65, or blind. And then with regard to general eligibility, Social Security Administration is going to look at income, resources, residence in the US, and citizenship. Once again, these are not requirements, like these are Social Security Administration's requirements. We cannot get around them. So with regard to the eligibility regarding income, resources, and citizenship, Social Security Administration requires that your unearned income cannot go over a certain amount per month. It cannot go over what the SSI maximum benefit rate is. The federal benefit rate for 2023 is $914 for an individual and $1,371 for a couple. That means if the applicant is making over this amount in unearned income, the person will not qualify for SSI. The earned income limits are different, and I don't have them on this slide. I'm not sure whether they are later. This information is for adults. We'll get to children in a little bit, but if you have questions about earned income, I can figure those out and get back to you. With regard to resources, also known as assets, the limits are $2,000 for an individual and $3,000 for a couple, with certain exemptions. They will exempt one vehicle as well as one piece of real property, as long as you live in it and aren't receiving rental income from it. What I tell prospective clients is what they're looking for here is what cash you have in the bank and cash you have on hand, as well as assets you can easily convert to cash. The applicant must reside in the United States to receive SSI. The only exception to that is a military service member who is currently on deployment outside of the US, and must be a US citizen, permanent legal resident, or fall into another specified class of qualified immigrants. If you have any questions about that, you can go through it with an advocate when you're doing intake. Obviously, that doesn't happen too often. So this goes through the categorical eligibility. If you're applying because you're disabled, you must have a severe medically determinable physical or mental health impairment that has lasted or is expected to last 12 months. If you are aged, you must be over 65. If you're blind, you must have 20/200 corrective vision in the best eye or extremely limited field of vision. So how is it that Social Security Administration defines disability? It's three separate parts: an inability to engage in any substantial gainful activity that's earning more than $1,371 a month by reason of any medically determinable physical or mental impairment, which can be expected to result in death or which has lasted or can be expected to last 12 months. So it can't just be that you broke your arm. It needs to be something that is continuous for at least 1 year. So how is it that Social Security Administration evaluates adult disability? It's a 5-step process: whether the person is engaging in substantial gainful activity, whether there's a severely determinable impairment, whether the applicant meets what are called Social Security Administration's listings of impairments. So if the impairment is severe enough and causes serious or extreme limitations on activities of daily living, can the applicant return to their past relevant work? And can the applicant adjust to any other work in the national economy? What you will see is that once a person turns 18, Social Security Administration focuses heavily on whether the person can work. When the individual is under 18 years old, Social Security Administration focuses on whether the disability meets their criteria. So under 18, obviously we don't care as much about working. Over 18, it's primarily focused on work, unfortunately. So this is the application cycle. It just puts everything into a nice visual. Like I said, we can help with any step in this process, even if we did not help the person file the initial application. This is the same for children and adults. The other thing to keep in mind is that, like Lorena said, we don't charge any fees for our services, but also on our SSI team, we do not take any percentage of the back pay that our clients are awarded. This is the main difference between the work that we do and the work that private attorneys do. They take, by statute, they can take 20% of the back pay or $6,000, whichever is less. So if you think about it for a second, they have an interest in having the case last as long as possible. We do not have that same interest. We want to get our clients approved quickly, get them on benefits, and get them out the door so that we can help the next person in line. We'd like to see our applications granted at either the initial or the reconsideration stage, because having to wait for that administrative law judge hearing, as you can see here, which can take either a year, like between a year or a year and a half, is a long time to wait. So we do either a phone or an in-person appointment to go over all of the information that we need to file the initial application. A decision on that can take between 3 and 4 months. And we see about 1/3 of our initial applications are granted. If we need to file an appeal because the initial is not granted, that is done in writing. We meet with the client, figure out what kinds of things have changed since the initial application was filed. The reconsideration appeal takes about 3 to 4 months as well. Most of those are denied because usually what they say is not enough has changed since the initial application was filed. This is also, like I said, a written appeal. The difference between the appeal here and the administrative law judge hearing is that's where the person is first seen by someone else in person. And it's much harder to deny someone who's standing in front of you talking about the ways in which their disabilities affect their daily life. So we like to, like I said, get the applications granted as soon as possible. But if we need to go to an administrative law judge hearing, we win about 50% of those. So that's where we win the bulk of our cases. If we don't like what the judge has to say, we can file an appeal with the appeals council. That takes, this is actually a little bit outdated, typically between 18 months and 2 years. At this point, after the judge's decision, if the judge denies our case, we meet with our clients to see, do you want to file an appeal, or do you want to file a new application? Each have their own costs and benefits. That's obviously something we work with our clients on. And then if we don't like what the appeals council has to say, we can file a complaint in federal district court. So this, we're going to switch gears now to go to children's eligibility requirements. Our program has existed, the children's program, for 7 years at Legal Aid. So we're still working on getting the word out that this is a service that we provide. I don't believe, to my knowledge, that there are any other organizations in San Diego that provide free SSI services for children. So I like that we are able to do that. Conversely, our adult program has existed at Legal Aid for about 45 years. So as you can see, we have some catching up to do, but I think our staff of 4 attorneys and 3 advocates is doing a pretty good job of that. This is actually the largest staff we've ever had. So children's eligibility requirements, several of these are Social Security Administration's requirements. The rest are Legal Aid requirements. Social Security Administration will allow you to file an application for a child for SSI from the time they're born up until the month before they turn 18. And a child who has been previously granted SSI benefits will be reevaluated at age 18 under the adult standard. So we can take that application from any time birth up until a month before they turn 18. Social Security Administration will look at the gross income of the parent or parents, as well as the number of non-disabled children in the home. They use a 7-step deeming calculation. That's what they call it. And that's in a couple of slides. I'll have a visual breakdown. But basically, as the income in the home goes up, the benefit rate that your child would stand to receive if they are granted medical eligibility will decrease. It is a needs-based program, and so they do consider the other income in the home. With regard to resources, the limit for a 1-parent household is roughly $4,000 with certain exceptions, same as with adult SSI. The exceptions are home, as well as vehicle and several other things like retirement accounts. But everything that can be converted into cash without a penalty is counted as a resource. Excuse me, I need water for 1 second. In a 2-parent household, the limit is $5,000, once again, with the same exceptions. With regard to citizenship, this is a Social Security Administration requirement. We cannot get around it. The child must be a U.S. citizen, asylee, or a refugee. Sorry about that. These, once again, are Social Security Administration's requirements. However, it is worth noting that the citizenship status of the parent does not matter for SSI purposes. Obviously, this is something that we talk to our prospective clients a lot about because historically this has not mattered. However, there was a period of time kind of at the tail end of the Obama administration and with the for the 4 years after Obama, Social Security Administration was using this information to sometimes pass along to INS and DHS. So we would talk with prospective clients about whether they wanted to provide their children's information as well as their information to Social Security Administration. We do have an immigration team at Legal Aid, and what I would do with parents who are undocumented or who were like still in the process of getting green cards, I would refer them to that team and they would be able to ask any questions that they have regarding the impact of SSI applications on their status. And so I'd like to be able to like cross-coordinate those in those cases. But like I said, it's the status of the child that matters. With regard to residency, the child and the parent or parents must reside within San Diego County. That's our requirement. And we require that the child have a medical condition that is currently being treated. Social Security Administration will not require current treatment. However, it's very difficult to win these cases if the person is not in treatment. So the maximum benefit rates in the state of California for 2023 These change every single year. So I emphasize the state of California as well as the year 2023. If you're an adult, the maximum benefit rate is $1,133.73. If you're under 18, the maximum benefit rate is $1,003.07. Like I said, it is important to me for me to note that this is California specific. The federal benefit rate that I gave in the adult in the adult information is what the federal government sets the rates at. Each state is free to add to that if they wish to do so, and California adds what's called a state supplement. This is the these are the rates in California for this year. I updated these numbers, but I didn't update the year. So this is the deeming eligibility chart for children in California for 23. As you can see, the left side goes through the number of non-disabled children in the home from none up until 3. This chart is available online for up to 6 non-disabled children. If there are more than 3, you can check that out online. And then across the top, we see where all income is earned versus all income is unearned. Earned income is typically wages through employment. Unearned income is like unemployment insurance or workers' comp. And you can see Social Security Administration breaks down this information based on whether there's a 1-parent household or a 2-parent household. So this information is good to have. We do this 7-step deeming calculation when someone calls us and provides their income, but these are like a visual representation of the like rough limits. So these are examples of qualifying disabilities. This list is not exhaustive, but it is kind of in order of what we see most often on the children's team. Autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, global developmental delay, intellectual disorder, depression, anxiety, oppositional defiant disorder, PTSD, OCD, and schizophrenia. Obviously, many children have more than one of these diagnoses. They may have a mental health diagnosis and maybe some physical disabilities as well. You know, as long as the child meets our eligibility requirements for our program, we're able to take that application. Doesn't really matter. We can take anywhere from one disability to, you know, the upper end is limitless. So how is it that we prove childhood disability? It's largely based on objective medical evidence. Social Security Administration will look at records from doctors, hospitals, as well as other medical facilities. They look at speech therapy, occupational therapy, and cognitive behavioral therapy records. They also look at any sort of behavioral interventions. And they look at medical source statements from doctors, therapists, psychiatrists, and or psychologists. They will look at non-medical records. They often use them to prove functional limitations. They look at education records. They look at statements from parents or other caregivers, early intervention and preschool program records, as well as regional center records such as the IPP and the IFSP. So as Lorena said, this is our contact information. We do have 3 offices across San Diego. However, we are providing most of our services via phone. What we're finding is that our offices are not necessarily the most convenient for folks to get to, and we are able to provide full scope services via phone. And that is all that I have.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. I'm going to open it up to anybody for questions. I know I had a question from a parent, Sri, which I'm going to get to that right now. She typed it in the chat. She says, does having a 529 account affect eligibility for SSI? Jen,
Is that is not something that can be easily converted to cash without a penalty, correct? That's the college savings account.
Yeah, we have a college account for the kid, and we are wondering if she will be denied SSI because she has the 529 account.
I can look it up while we're taking other questions. My guess is no, because their requirements really are as long as it doesn't come with a penalty to convert to cash. And my understanding is those accounts would have some sort of penalty. So I can look that up real quick if we have more questions.
That would be.
You can use it only for educational purposes, but if you, I guess you pay tax if you want to take money away from the account. So that, I think that's the deal. So
Okay,
we
so
didn't know.
I'm seeing that 529 plans are exempt,
Okay,
as well as UTMA accounts. If anybody has UTMA accounts for their kids, or anybody else in your family has an UTMA account for a kid,
what's an at my account?
it's like a uniform transfer to minors account. Typically somebody starts it when the person is under 18. It's for their benefit, but they can't touch it. And then eventually it's transferred over to the person once they turn 18.
Oh, okay.
And then a question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sri. A question from Emily. What is child and spousal support looked at as? I'm assuming like
Okay.
earned income or unearned income.
So spousal support is considered unearned income. So it would be on the right side of that chart. And that is counted dollar for dollar. It's income coming into the home, which the parent doesn't have to work for. And unfortunately, it is counted. I'm of the mind that as little as possible should be counted against the kids for for SSI purposes, but they don't consult me on these things. With regard to child support, let me see if I can explain this in an easy-ish way. They look at the child support that comes in for that specific child, the child we're applying for. So if there's one child in the home and the child support is going, is for that child's benefit, they will count 1/3 of that child support against the child for deeming purposes. So that will come off dollar for dollar. If the child stands to get $1,000 a month as the SSI benefit, and parent receives in the form of child support for the child $1,000, then you would take 1/3 of that. It would bring it down to $333. You would subtract $333 from 1,000, the state benefit rate, and you would get whatever it is, $667. If the child is, granted medical, if the child is found medically eligible. It gets a little bit tricky when there's like a child support from one person for multiple children. You have to divide by the number of children the child support is for. If there's a child support for other children in the home, it is not taken into account. It's not held against that child. So it's just important for us to figure out, how many children is the support for? How much is it each month? And one of the things that prospective clients often ask us is like, if there's an order for child support, but the other parent is not paying, then no, that amount is not taken into consideration because it's not being paid into the home. So we're looking at money that is actually coming into the home. I hope that answers the question.
It's a really good question. Thanks, Emily.
Yeah, so few people ask that question, but it seems like it would apply. I mean, I have quite a few, clients who are single parents receiving child support. So it's surprising to me that I don't get that question more often.
Any other questions from anybody right now?
I have a question. Maybe for Jen. I met and Dana knows this person, Ann Osborne from CalAble, and it's a program through the state treasurer where folks can have a savings account and have it not it won't affect their public benefits, right?
Right.
So I mean, I don't know if since anybody with a disability who's under the age of or was over, I don't know if it's just for adults, but I wonder if that is a solution for so it's for folks that have a disability occurring before the age of 26 And I wonder if for Srividya and the question about the college savings, is that something that a CalAble account can kind of house those savings and then have it not affect people's public benefits, but then perhaps would that kind of change the landscape of like, well, the criteria for our eligibility? And I'm sorry that I made that very simple question very confusing. But anyways, I think
I understand what you're asking. I know the answer to your question.
okay.
CalAble account allows only $17,000 per year to be transferred from anywhere into the CalAble account. And when you cross $100,000 on your CalAble account, you lose all benefits.
Okay.
So
Thank you. Thank you.
That's how it works.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to see kind of what the
Yeah.
intersection was here. Thank you.
Yeah.
If I can
Sure.
call you Sri since we're
Please do.
Well,
No problem.
thanks for your question. It was excellent.
So
Yeah.
we have one more question from Gladys. And I usually leave out this information in the non-military presentations that I do, because usually military folks
Can you read it?
are attending the EFMP presentations and not necessarily these. But she said, I applied for SSI for my now 4-year-old son, only to be denied twice. We are a 2-parent household with 1 child. He is on the spectrum. He receives early intervention services, speech therapy, behavioral therapy, and OT. He also receives Medi-Cal as supplemental insurance, likely secondary to TRICARE. We only have 1 stream of income, though my spouse, who is an active member in the Navy, we were denied both times because we're $1,000 over the monthly income. Should I appeal? That is a question. I mean, you're more than welcome to call in and one of our advocates can screen you for eligibility. We can do, like I said, that 7-step deeming calculation. The problem with families where one or both parents are service members is the things that Social Security Administration counts as income include the BAH and the BAS if you're not living in housing or on base. So if you are receiving your BAH because you live somewhere in the community you're renting or you own, then they count the BAH as income. So typically with your base pay, as well as your BAH, if you're not living in housing, that likely puts you with your spouse and 1 child over the income limits for SSI. If you're living in housing, then the BAH does not count against you because you're not actually receiving it. And they will only take into consideration your spouse's base pay. Okay, she's saying they live in housing. So I would call in and provide that information because according to the chart, let me pull it up, in a 2-parent household with no other eligible children, as long as you are under $46.95 gross income each month, you would be your child would be financially eligible for SSI. So if you know that your spouse makes less than that, then I would call in and we can screen you for eligibility and file a new application on your child's behalf. If you know that your spouse makes more than that, then you would just have to give us a call if and when your financial situation changes. If somehow the limits go up by a lot or your spouse starts earning less than that.
Another question from Rod, one of our Autism Tree fathers. He says, what is the process to start a conservatorship? I know you guys have a whole branch of this at Legal Aid. So do you have anything to add to that?
Lorena, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Well, I will start with saying that I don't know, but I will follow that up with saying that we have a really wonderful conservatorship clinic, which is at one of the downtown civil courts on Union Street. We help folks regardless of their income at that particular clinic, which is really wonderful because a lot of folks think that we only help low-income individuals living in the county of San Diego. So this is an example of where anyone can get our help. And I will drop that information in the chat, which will tell you, it'll be a link to our website page on conservatorships and when and where the clinic exists. And you are free to reach out to me with other questions beyond that. But I would probably refer you to that downtown clinic where our colleague Barb is the managing attorney of our conservatorship clinic. Obviously, for adults who cannot care for themselves, it's a very important and needed service. And they do take a while, and so people might get frustrated because like a lot of the processes in the courts take a long time. But again, it's a great service. So that's my answer.
I have 2 more things to add. Get to the clinic as early as possible. It is a lengthy process. So, if you're one of the first, you'll, wait far less time than everybody else. And 2, it is a lengthy process to apply. So apply as soon as possible. I'm not sure whether you can apply prior to the person turning 18. That's probably something that Guru can tell you. But if you know that your child is going to need one, at age 18, I would just apply as soon as you can.
And I believe that our sister organization, San Diego Volunteer Lawyer Project, SDVLP, may do guardianships, whereas we do conservatorship. So I'm going to look up that info and drop it in the chat as well. You'll note that I just dropped the link to our webpage on our website regarding our conservatorship clinic into the chat for your reference.
Yeah, that would be good, because we definitely don't do guardianships.
Well, before we get to the next question, I just wanted to add, I'm really glad that Rod brought that up, because I just had a huge long conversation with a mom who started the conservatorship process. She's tried doing it on her own, and then she ended up having to go to Legal Aid Society because she missed a couple check boxes, and then she had to start all over. So she told me that the best thing for her was, to let parents know to go to Legal Aid Society as soon as possible, because it's free and it helps them, have it go really thoroughly. So I would love to connect with Barb too, and maybe have her do a lunch and learn.
Yeah, you were reading my mind, Rebecca. Scary. Yeah.
You don't want to read Lorena's mind.
But yeah, we can make that happen. She's wonderful. It's a wonderful service. We get amazing feedback from the courts and the public about it. So happy to make that connection with Autism Tree.
I don't see the info on here about like when you can apply. I wish we had like a frequently asked questions. But
a quick question.
All the info is on there.
What's the difference between a guardian and a conservatorship?
Guardian is under 18, conservatorship is over 18.
So it's a similar legal tool.
Yeah.
To be able to make legal decisions on behalf of someone else, and the only difference is the age.
Okay. And then Sri asked, do you help with special needs trusts or living trusts for families? We
do not, per my knowledge. However, I would like to give a shout out to a group that I presented to several years back that was convened at the offices of a local estate planning attorney. And it was a special needs trust group. And I'm going to try to find that information, and perhaps that might serve as a resource for your group. Okay, so I'll try to find out where they're convening, or if that is something that is available to y'all.
Thank you so much. Wonderful.
I would also just give another plug to the Law Library. The Law Library is a wonderful resource for San Diegans. They do have several, facilities branches throughout the county, with their main one being downtown. But they also have, and I'll drop this phone number in the chat, lawyers who are law librarians with whom the public can reach out and speak with, And I mentioned that because they have a really wonderful DIY section in the law library, and these resources are also, a lot of them, available online. And the goal of the San Diego County Public Law Library is to provide resources to people so that folks understand them. And there's resources largely written for, there's resources for attorneys, but there's also a really special set of resources specifically written for non-lawyers. And so I really appreciate those. And some of you might be familiar with like the NOLO press, and they're kind of like a do-it-yourself type of approach, but very manageable, understandable. And then the law library also has various manuals on different types of laws that they get a lot of inquiries on, for example, the eviction process and stuff like that. So I will put their website and phone number in the chat. Anyone can call any day that they're open and speak to somebody and say, hey, do you have information on XYZ legal issue, and how can I access it online or in person?
I think I gave the right website,
Okay.
but I could be wrong.
Awesome. We'll double check it. I know Lorena sent, that's included in the handouts, right? That you sent me.
It
Lorena?
is. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. And that's the correct website.
There are a lot of free legal resources in San Diego. Unfortunately, it's just a matter of knowing how to access them. And
Yeah.
hopefully, we've provided information on many of them.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah. And for those of you who are new, to everybody who registered, or we send out a recap to our entire database with this recording to this Lunch and Learn, as well as the resources that Jen and Lorena sent us. And I'll save the chat as well, so we make sure that we save all this good information. Perfect. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I got to read Karen's comment because I thought it was really, she said, grateful for your dedication and valuable information that will benefit Autism Tree families. I second that. We're just a lot of people don't know about this, and we're so grateful for you taking the time to answer our family's questions and, bring light to this amazing resource. And both of you're amazing people, and we're really grateful. So thank you so much. And I'd love to take a group picture. Everybody's saying thank you in the chat. I love it. I love our family. Okay, if you would like to share your video, now would be the time. We'd love to include you in the group picture. Before we go, just look at the camera and smile. Ready? 3, 2, 1, cheese. Yay, cheese. Perfect. All right. Thank you again. We'll touch base, for the next conservatorship. I'll talk to love to introduce to Barb.
Absolutely. Thank you, Autism Tree family. We really appreciate being here today, and we love the work you do and love where our worlds not collide, but really, mesh together in really wonderful ways. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for the work you do.
Okay, awesome. Have a great week, everyone.
All right, bye.
Bye.